seminary friends, the Reverend Chris Henry, says that Jesus' parable in Luke 18 that we just read is as current as the latest political attack ad or hateful Facebook post, because it captures the heart of the tragic human instinct to lift oneself up by tearing others down. The proud Pharisee thanks God that he's not like those other people, while the tax collector begs God for mercy. And Jesus is clear about who goes home justified, isn't he, in the scripture? We hear this. We hear this from the gospel writer, but we often wonder, how can we make a difference in a world that seems so comfortable with the words and actions of hate? We get tired and feel that we can't make a difference. Kind of compare these feelings to how you feel at the end of a long day, or a long run, or a good game, worn out, spent, and depleted. The posture of Paul that we're going to see in Paul's letter, 2 Timothy chapter 4, in just a minute, I think reflects a similar depleted sentiment as he's exhausted and facing the end of his life. However, even as Paul is nearing the end of his life, he's calling us to remember the importance of finishing well. It's easy to grow tired and let the exhaustion, I think, take us over. The Christian life requires hard work and dedication. It's okay to admit that we're exhausted, that we're tired, but we can't just give up. The world's injustices seem too great and wear us down. We must continue to fight for justice. When violence overwhelms us, we must call even louder for peace. When lies run rampant, we must continue to speak truth. This is the message I hope you'll hear as we read from 2 Timothy chapter 4. Listen now for what the Spirit of God has to say to the people of God. As for me, I'm already being poured out as a libation, and the time of my departure has come. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. From now on, there is reserved for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give me on that day. And not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. At my first offense, no one came to my support, but all deserted me. May it not be counted against them. But the Lord stood by me and gave me strength, so that through me the message might be fully proclaimed, and all the Gentiles might hear it. So I was rescued from the lion's mouth. The Lord will rescue me from every evil attack and save me for his heavenly kingdom. To him be the glory forever and ever. Amen. Brothers and sisters, this is the challenge of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
Let us pray. Most holy and gracious God, we come before you this day giving thanks to you for the gifts that you bestow upon us. Continue, Lord, to knock on our hearts and on our minds so that we may hear your word to us, so that we may feel your Spirit move us into great things. And Lord, I just pray that as we gather in this place, that the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts will be holy and acceptable unto you, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. There is a story that's been making the rounds in recent years, and you may have heard it, I'm not sure. It's about a woman named Denise who routinely went to the grocery store, but one afternoon she had an experience that she had never had before that was anything but routine. As Denise got out of her car in the supermarket parking lot, she noticed something really unusual. In the car parked right next to her was a woman seated in the driver's seat. Her arms were draped over the steering wheel. Her head was resting on her arms. Her eyes were closed tightly. She wasn't moving a muscle. She was still. She was perfectly still, motionless. Denise thought to herself, that's kind of odd. Is this woman okay? Is she in trouble? Is she sick? Has she had a heart attack? Has she had a stroke? Has she fainted? What's wrong with this woman? Or maybe she's just resting or sleeping. Or maybe she's even praying. Denise wondered if she should do anything. But finally she decided that she needed to go into the grocery store and do her shopping. Then check back later if the situation had changed. 45 minutes later, after Denise was done her shopping, she came back to her car to unload her groceries and go home. Immediately, as she approached her car, she noticed that the woman in the car next to her was in exactly the same position she had been in earlier and was still motionless. Arms draped over the steering wheel, head still down, eyes closed, and was not moving at all. Denise then became extremely concerned. She then went around and knocked on the window. There's no response. Now at this point, Denise probably should have gone and called police or some authority. But wanting so much to help this woman and feeling guilty that she hadn't helped her earlier, she opened the door and said to the woman, "Are you all right?" The woman replied very weakly, "I've been shot. I've been shot in the neck," the woman said. Now hold on, I heard many groans. Relax, this story has a happy ending. Okay? But at this moment, Denise couldn't figure that out. Because there were no signs of foul play on the car. There was no blood anywhere, no bullet holes in car windows. Denise then examined the left side of the woman's neck. Nothing. She examined the front of her neck. Still nothing. Denise then went around to the passenger side, got in the car, looked at the right side of the woman's neck. Nothing there either. Then Denise got on her knees and leaned back over the seat and examined the back of the woman's neck. And there she found it. She found not a bullet or a gunshot wound, but rather she discovered, I hope you're ready for this, she discovered an uncooked Pillsbury biscuit stuck to the back of the woman's neck. Denise looked at the back seat and saw a sack of groceries sitting there on the back seat. And at the top of that sack was a can of Pillsbury biscuits that had exploded. And obviously propelled the uncooked biscuit forward, striking her in the back of the neck, striking the woman in the back of the neck. When Denise told, you can smile and laugh, it's okay. When Denise told the woman that she had not been shot at all, but rather hit by a flying biscuit, the woman didn't believe her at first. So Denise peeled the biscuit off the woman's neck and showed it to her. Whereupon the woman straightened up, smiled weakly, said thank you, and then drove off. Now that story I think is pretty intriguing to me for a couple of reasons. First of all, think of what it says about our violent society in which we live. A world so violent that when a woman hears a loud pop behind her and then feels a loud thud on the back of her neck, her first thought is, I've been shot. But also the story reminds us of the sad fact that there are so many people in our world today who have given up and quit life, who are emotionally and spiritually like that woman, emotionally and spiritually paralyzed. They feel crippled and incapacitated. They feel powerless and immobile. They feel hopeless and helpless. They've been so hurt by life, they're afraid to move, afraid to act, afraid to live, because they believe they've been mortally wounded. So they give up, give out, and they give in. They throw in the towel and quit life. They go through the motions. They get up. They go to work. They watch TV, but they have no energy, no strength. They're paralyzed, no zest, no fire, no passion, because they're spiritually and emotionally paralyzed. They've given up and they've quit on life. They need someone to come and save them. They need someone to come along and peel the biscuit off the back of their neck and say to them, hey, look, it's not as bad as you think. You're not mortally wounded. You can have a new chance, a new start, a new birth, a new beginning, a new life. There's one who can save you, one who can turn it around for you, one who can heal you. Part of me wants to say, one who can cook your biscuits. One who can heal you. So never give up. Don't ever give up. Don't give out. Don't give in. Against this backdrop, I think it becomes even more meaningful to hear the Apostle Paul say, I have fought the good fight. I have kept the faith. I have finished the race. Against this backdrop, the words of Jesus ring out even more powerfully as we see him hanging on the cross and saying with his last breath, I've done it. I've completed it. I have seen it through. I have finished. It is finished. All through life, and even in every field, and especially in faith, we see the importance of this kind of determination and perseverance and trust in God. One of the most beloved and colorful sports personalities of our time, a man named Jim Valvano, a man who I got to work closely with when I worked in television in North Carolina. A great person, a wonderful guy to be around. Jimmy V, as he was affectionately known to sports fans around this country. Jimmy Valvano tragically died after a year-long battle with cancer. Jimmy was only 47 years old when he died. He will be remembered as a great basketball coach. His North Carolina State basketball team won the national championship in 1983, upsetting the Houston Cougars, a team that featured Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. North Carolina State was not even expected to make the NCAA tournament. The only way that they made it was because they won the the ACC basketball tournament just a few weeks prior. Nobody expected them to win. Jim Valvano will also be remembered as an outstanding TV analyst and an eloquent, inspirational speaker, and as a lovable, wisecracking humorist. But most of all, he'll be remembered for his courage, for the courageous way that he faced his debilitating illness. A few weeks before he died, he was honored on national television, and to the vast viewing audience, he said this: Today, in his great Italian accent, today I fight a different battle. You see that I have trouble walking and I have trouble standing for long periods of time. Cancer has taken away a lot of my physical abilities. Cancer is attacking and destroying my body. But what cancer cannot touch is my mind, my heart, and my soul. I have faith in God, and I hope that things might get better for me, he said. But even if they don't, I promise you this: I will never give up. Ever give up. Never will I. I will never quit. And if cancer gets me, then I'll just try my best to go to heaven. And I'll try my best to be the best basketball coach they've ever seen. Then pointing to his 1983 national championship team, he said this. He said, I learned a great lesson from these guys. They amazed me. They did things I was not sure they could do because they absolutely refused to give up. That was the name of their championship season. He said that was the name of our championship season. He said, never, ever give up. That's the lesson I learned from them, he said, and that's the message I leave with you. Never give up. Never, ever give up. That's precisely, I think, what Paul is saying in our text today. Never give up. See it through. Finish the race. But let me be more specific with 3 thoughts about this. And I heard this once, and I actually read it in a book during seminary, and I hope you're ready for it. Here's number 1. First of all, never give up on your commitment. I don't know if you've ever heard about the young college man who went to a photography studio one day. He had framed a picture of his girlfriend. He wanted the picture duplicated. This, of course, meant that the picture had to be taken out of the frame that he brought it there in. And in doing this, the studio owner noticed that there was an inscription on the back of this picture. Here's what it said. It said, "My dearest Tom, I love you with all my heart. I love you more and more each day. I love you forever and ever. And I'm yours completely for all eternity." It was signed Diane. And it had this postscript on it. P.S. If we ever break up, I want the picture back. To me, it sounds like Diane wasn't that committed. I wasn't too sure. On the other hand, consider this. You probably know some great people in history who made it to greatness because they absolutely refused to give up on their dreams. Totally committed. Even though they faced major discouragement early on, they wouldn't quit. They persevered because they were committed. For instance, did you know that after Fred Astaire's first screen test, the MGM testing director wrote this memo about Fred Astaire. He says, "Can't act. Nope. Slightly bald. Can dance a little bit." Did you know that Beethoven's teacher said that he was hopeless as a composer? And Caruso's teacher said he really didn't have a voice at all. And Thomas Edison's teacher said he was too stupid to learn anything. Did you know that the editor of the Kansas City Star fired a young cartoonist by the name of Walt Disney because he said Walt Disney couldn't draw and wasn't creative? Did you know that Albert Einstein couldn't speak until he was 4 years old and couldn't read until he was 7? And that his teacher described him as mentally slow, unsociable, and adrift forever in his foolish dreams. And Winston Churchill, good old Winnie, not only failed 6th grade, but also went through a lifetime of defeats and setbacks and failures before he finally became Prime Minister at the age of 62. Prime Minister of England, of course. That kind of unwavering commitment is essential, I believe, in the Christian faith. We can't do it halfway. We can't be wishy-washy about it. We can't be lukewarm. Total, complete, unshakable commitment is required to be a faithful Christian. Listen, there will always be someone, I think, trying to discourage you, trying to pull you down and draw you away from your faith commitment. You can't do it, they'll say. It's not relevant anymore, they'll say. It doesn't work, they'll say. Try this instead, they'll say. And let me tell you something with all the feeling I have in my heart. Do not listen to that. Don't be taken by that. Don't be put off or shaken by the world's discouraging words or actions. Don't you waver in your commitment for God and to God. The only way that we can fight the good fight, keep the faith, and finish the race is through unflinching commitment. That's number one. Never give up on your commitment. Second, never give up on love. In this tough world in which we live, there are moments when it seems like hate and prejudice and hostility, I think, are ruling the day. When we hear about churches being set on fire, and little children being shot in drive-by shootings, and innocent people being blown away by terrorist bombs. In moments like that, it seems like hatred is winning, doesn't it? But I don't believe that for a minute. Because I know love is the most powerful thing in all the world. And Jesus showed us that on the cross. And I believe it with all of my heart. And I'm committed to it. So don't give up on love. Don't quit on love. Don't throw in the towel on love. Put love first. Make love the theme of your life. But when it comes to love, be careful. When it comes to love, it's not enough to talk a good game. Christian love is active. It's moving. It is a verb. In one of Peanuts' cartoons, Lucy, you remember Lucy, who has this big-time crush on Schroeder, the guy who plays the piano, right? Comes in one day while he's playing his little piano and says to him, "Guess what, Schroeder? If you don't stop playing that piano right now and show me that you love me, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold my breath until I pass out." Schroeder looks up from his piano and says, "Breath holding in children is an interesting phenomenon. It could indicate a metabolic disorder. A 40 milligram dose of vitamin B twice a day might be helpful. I think that's probably it, Lucy. You need vitamin B6. You might consider eating more bananas or avocados and beef liver." And he goes back to playing his piano. Lucy looks out at the reading audience and says, "I asked for love, and all I got was beef liver." In that Peanuts comic strip, Charles Schulz was probably trying to say something akin to what the Apostle Paul said at the beginning of the love chapter. Remember what he said? "If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels and have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal." Or in other words, when it comes to love, high-sounding words are not enough. Christian love, by definition, is active goodwill. It is sharing the sacrificial love of Christ with the world. So the point is clear. Don't ever give up. Don't ever give up on your commitment. And don't ever give up on love. And third, don't ever give up on Jesus. In our hectic world, we can so easily become victims of what Marshall McLuhan called implosion. All kinds of ideas and causes and philosophies exploding in on us, vying for our attention and energy and loyalty and resources. What do we believe in? Where do we put our weight down? What do we give our heart to? Where do we trust? Well, we have the answer, don't we? We have the answer. We've had it all along. We've had it for over 2,000 years. It's in the book. Jesus Christ is the answer. Jesus Christ is the answer yesterday, today, and forever. So don't be taken in by all these exotic, high-sounding fads that come along screaming for our allegiances. Just give your heart and soul to the Messiah. One time long ago, I attended a Promise Keepers rally long ago. One of the leaders did an interesting thing, I thought, with the crowd that was gathered, probably about 42,000 people in a stadium. The leader said to all of us, on the count of 3, I want you to say out loud the name of the town where you live. As loud as you can, say the name of the town where you live. And when he counted to 3, the men shouted the variety of names from which they came, and it sounded like the Tower of Babel, really. Then he asked them to shout as loud as they could on the count of 3 the name of their religious denomination. Again, it was total chaos. Then he asked them as loud as they could they yell the name of their favorite sports team. Again, chaos. Confusion. It was crazy. Then he asked them, on the count of 3, to shout out as loud as they could the name of their Lord and Savior. In perfect unison, over 42,000 people shouted out clear as a bell the name of Jesus the Christ. And what that leader was trying to say simply is this, that some of us like football, others like basketball, or baseball, or golf, or soccer. Some of us are United Methodists, or Baptists, or Catholics, or Presbyterians, or Episcopalians. Some of us are from Pittsburgh, and others are from Dallas, or Austin, or Washington, or Florida, or Seattle. But the one thing that we share in common, the one thing that unites us all, is the one who gave his life in love for us, and that is Jesus. So the point is clear. Don't ever give up. Don't ever give up on your commitment. Don't ever give up on love. And whatever you do, don't ever, please don't ever give up on Jesus. Don't give up. We can make the world a better place. You and I can make this world a better place. We can make a difference in this world. We can change the world, friends. You and I can change the world. So in the immortal words of my friend, Jimmy Valvano, don't give up. Don't ever give up.